An Indian scientist and politician, APJ Abdul Kalam, says, and I quote, "The fight for corruption-free ethical society will have to be fought against this greed and replace it with what can I give spirit. Always do the right thing when no one is watching, as you will when others are watching you. Be a good person of integrity that stands for the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles." Hello and thanks for joining us on another episode of The Eagle. My name is Aisha Muhammad.
Good day, Nigerians. As we all know, cybercrime is progressing at an incredibly fast pace. It is giving a bad image to Nigeria, affecting our economy and draining the youth of this country. Let us work collectively against cybercrime wherever it is committed. I am Abdul Rashid Bawa, Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Stand for the right thing always. Thank you.
We all know how youth are pivotal to the development and future of any nation. Therefore, the need for constant engagement and using any available fora to do so. It is in line with this that the EFCC is keen on getting the youth to join in the fight against economic and financial crimes. Here are reports on some engagements the Commission had with the youth.
The Port Harcourt Zonal Commander of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Aliyu Naibi, has called on members of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, to take the Community Development Service, CDS, components of their service year more seriously in order to reap the benefits inherent in the service. He gave this charge in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, while receiving members of the EFCC CDS group, Obio Akpo local government area of Rivers State, that paid him a courtesy visit. Naibi stated that public sensitization is an important component of the work of the EFCC and urged the CDS group to take it seriously. He stressed that public ownership of the war against corruption through adequate sensitization on the works of the Commission is an important duty the group is expected to perform.
If there is any group of people that we need to interact with, we need to relate with, we need to make them understand what we are doing and why we are doing it, and to make them part of us, definitely is NYSC. NYSC, unlike any other group, is a group of people that went to school.
The zonal commander also appreciated the relationship between the EFCC and NYSC, describing it as critical and strategic. Earlier, President of the EFCC CDS group, Isa Opanachi Abdullahi, commended the EFCC for its huge success in convictions and called for more involvement of core members in its activities. Abdullahi said the CDS group was ready to collaborate better with the Commission in its community development services. Ojo Chukutami Eche for The Eagle. The Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, has advised Nigerian students to take ownership of the fight against economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. The EFCC boss, who spoke through the agency's Director of Public Affairs, Mr. Osita Nwaja, while receiving students of Marhun International School, Kefi, on excursion to the EFCC headquarters, charged the students to play their role in the fight against corruption, including demanding for the right thing to be done by simply asking questions. He stressed that asking questions of their parents, leaders, and even teachers whenever they see something wrong will prick their consciences into doing what is right.
The EFCC was established to bring about the new Nigeria. But we can't do this alone. This building that you see here like this is not in Nasarawa, it's not everywhere in Nigeria. The people that you see here, the members of the commission, are not everywhere in Nigeria. That's why we need you. That's why we need people like you to be the EFCC of wherever you are. You will now be helping us to do the work. You help us in your homes. You challenge your parents. If you notice anything that is not right, ask them questions. Just ask them questions. Daddy, mommy, is this how things are supposed to be? Is this how this particular something is supposed to turn out? And then wait for them. Tell them to give you an answer. You know, because the people that we are complaining about, those that EFCC has been established to fight, are some people's fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and uncles. So because the people that they are uncles or children, the people that they are uncles to, or the people that are their children are not asking them questions, that is why EFCC has been established to ask those questions. So, but if you are asking them questions, if you are taking them up on issues, you are asking them small questions, their conscience will be pricked. Their conscience will tell them that something is wrong. I'm doing something that is not okay for my son, for my daughter, for my wife, for my husband, for my nephew, for my niece, for my cousins, for my community, for my church, for my mosque. They will know that something is definitely not wrong, definitely not right. And that is when we will know that the Nigeria of our dream is being established. Little by little, together, with hands together, working together, you doing your part, me doing my part, we will get there. So that is the message of EFCC to you.
Head Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit of the Commission, Aisha Mohammed, implored the students to join hands with the EFCC to make the Nigeria of our dream a reality. On his part, Chief Superintendent of the EFCC, Daniel Nwaka of the Commission's Cybercrime Section, admonished the students to be bold and courageous in performing their duty as vanguards against economic and financial crimes, even though they are not officers of the EFCC. He added that learning to ask about the effects of their actions will make or mar them and the society.
That's who you are. Nobody can take it away from you. When you see somebody doing something wrong, you don't say, "Excuse me, sir, that letter, that's what I proved you threw out of the window. You're not supposed to throw it." No. You say, "Sir, stop it. You're not supposed to do that." Be confident, be bold. If you see your parents doing wrong, you say, "Daddy, no. You are not supposed to do this." If you see your parents going late to work, you say, "Daddy, no. You're supposed to be in the office by so and so time. Make Nigeria a better place." And take it from me, your parents will respect you for that. You don't just say, "Daddy, you know you're not supposed to go out by 9 o'clock. Daddy, no." Well, my friend, but if you tell him, "Daddy, no. It's 8 o'clock, you're supposed to be in the office. Daddy, why are you at home?" Nigeria is going to get better when we all do the right thing.
The principal of Marhun International Academy, Mr. Adam Yahaya, expressed gratitude to the management of EFCC for the warm reception accorded them. Highlight of the event was an exhibition to drive home the message of the fight against economic and financial crimes even more.
So these are some of the examples of how corruption starts. Who can tell me what is happening in this picture? Good. Exam malpractice is a crime. It is a punishable crime. Actually, our officers go to JAM centers, WAEC centers to fish for students or teachers that get involved in this. So read your books. You have all the time in the world. Read your books so that on the exam day, you don't have any need to be peeping or using any extra materials, okay?
Ojo Chukutami Eche, reporting for The Eagle.
Justice Mahmoud Abdul Ghaffar of the Kwara State High Court Ilorin on Monday, November 29, 2021, convicted a 29-year-old ex-convict, Joshua Ajayi Oluwatobi, for impersonating the Dean Student Affairs, University of Ilorin, and others to defraud unsuspecting students seeking to pay school fees and hostel accommodation. Here are details.
The Ilorin Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC had arraigned Oluwatobi on a 4-count charge bordering on fraud, attempt to defraud and impersonation, to which he pleaded guilty. Oluwatobi had sometime in June 2020 been convicted by Justice Sikiru Oyiloye of the Kwara State High Court for similar offense. After spending time at Mandela Correctional Center, the convict went back to crime and was again arrested by operatives of the EFCC and brought before the court. Following the plea of guilt entered by the defendant, prosecuting counsel Andrew Akoja presented a witness, one Musa Muhammad Sani, an operative of the EFCC, through whom he reviewed the facts of the case and presented documents to establish the culpability of the defendant in the crime. Akoja urged the court to consider the uncontroverted evidence of the prosecution before it, the admittance of guilt by the defendant, and convict him as charged. Delivering judgment, Justice Abdul Ghaffar said the material evidence placed before the court has shown that the prosecution had proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. The judge pronounced Joshua guilty of the 4 counts and sentenced him to 7 years imprisonment on each count to run concurrently. The court also ordered the convict to restitute his victims. Abbas Abubakar Umar reporting for the Eagle.
It is crystal clear and without any ambiguity that the law is basically against dealing in petroleum products without lawful authority. It is a criminal offense punishable with life imprisonment for any person to deal, package, hawk, sell, or trade on petroleum or petroleum products without license. And that's why today on the interview segment of The Eagle, Golden Onwura and our guest will be taking us through what we need to know about illegal petroleum dealings. Over to you, Golden.
Hello and welcome to the interview segment of The Eagle. I am Golden Onwura. Today we'll be talking about the illegal dealing in petroleum products. To discuss this with me today is the Chief Superintendent of the EFCC, Annie Davis Stanley Odi. He's the Head, Extractive Industry Fraud Section, Port Harcourt Zonal Command. You're welcome.
Thank you, Golden. Let me say that EFCC, in recognition of the dangers of the fraudulent activities within the extractive industry sector, established a section to tackle this menace. And this section by name, like you said, is the extractive industry fraud section. And since inception, we have been recording tremendous achievements, in trying to reduce or totally eradicate the incidence of illegal dealing in petroleum products. I must say that by the stipulations in the Petroleum Act, the ownership, entire ownership and control of all petroleum deposits, all oil deposits in Nigeria, whether under the ground, up the ground, within the continental shelves, or as part of the exclusive economic zones, is vested on the Nigerian states. So the Nigerian states is the sole ownership of these mineral deposits. And by that, to deal on it, you, whether as an individual or as a corporate body, you are required to get the requisite license to deal on this product, and from the appropriate authority. And there are authorities, that has been set up by the federal government to issue these licenses. What do I mean by that? This illegal dealing in petroleum products entails dealing, either selling, either storing, either distributing, marketing, importing, or exporting any of these products, any of these petroleum products without this required license, automatically you're dealing illegally in petroleum products. So that is what it entails when you say illegal dealing in petroleum products.
So how rampant is this crime in our present-day Nigeria?
Well, it is very rampant. It's very rampant, especially within the south region, of the country, within the Niger Delta axis, where most of these dealers, easily have access, because there you have the oil exploration companies and all that. So that is where it's most prevalent. And owing to the fact that people see it as a very fast means to acquire wealth, so when you illegally, move this product, you have, instant or steady buyers to this, who moves it either within or outside the country, to dispose on a very high prices. So it's very, very rampant, especially within the south region of the country.
Okay, so what are the requirements needed to legally deal in petroleum products?
Yes, like I said, this requirement, like there are departments or agencies set up by the federal government to assess and ascertain whether you are qualified to deal on these products. First thing, we have the Department of Petroleum Resources. I think recently there is a merger, and the Department of Petroleum Resources is saddled with this responsibility, to issue license, to interested corporate bodies, who want to deal on this product. And these licenses, it ranges, from the companies that are interested in oil exploration license, to those that are interested in importing or exporting, and also retail sellers like the filling station and this. They are in categories. But the fact is that whether you want to explore, whether you want to export, whether you want to distribute, to sell, to store, like all these depots, that store petroleum products for distribution, or whether you want to distribute, you must approach the Department of Petroleum Resources to assess and see if you are qualified to do that. With regards to the requirements, I must say that when it comes to corporate bodies, you understand, we must verify first, from the Corporate Affairs Commission, whether this company that is into this into this petroleum product dealing is registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Then after that, it's now our duty to now transmit a letter to the department concerned, that is Department of Petroleum Resources concerned, to confirm whether the license, submitted by the defendant is genuine or not.
So what are the punishments for illegally dealing in petroleum products?
Yes. I think I'm not a lawyer, but I know we charges most of these illegal dealing cases under Petroleum Act and Miscellaneous Offences Act. and by by section 1, sub 17 of the Miscellaneous Offences Act 2004, the maximum punishment for someone or a corporate body found guilty of this offense is 1 year, life imprisonment, and also forfeiture of the means of conveyance. Means of conveyance, I mean here, it might be truck when it has to do with the upstream. It might be vessels, barges, or boats when it has to do with the downstream. Now, outside that, the NIMASA Establishment Act, that is the Nigerian Maritime and the Safety Management Administration Agency, also provides that the vessels, that is the downstream, at the downstream sector, the vessels and or boats, that plies our waterways, must be registered with them. So that is also an aspect that is being looked into, whether this vessel is registered with NIMASA or not.
Okay, so it is the job of the EFCC to find out.
It is the job of the EFCC.
Are actually done.
Exactly. So if it is done, and if it is not done, there is also a prescribed punishment or fine for that aspect. And the other channel is from the Army, the Nigerian Army. So the Nigerian Army, I think that is the land component aspect. They do arrest most of the trucks that are suspected to be dealing on illegal product. They do arrest these trucks and they hand them over to the Commission for further investigation. Then the other side is the Nigerian Navy. The Nigerian Navy that are saddled with the responsibility to man our waterways. They do arrest vessels. A lot of vessels that are suspected to be conveying illegal products, and then hand over to EFCC for further investigation. So I think upon this handover, we progress to take samples, from those products and subject to authorized lab for analysis. And also EFCC, we have been having, a very good cordial working relationship, with the stakeholders, some of the stakeholders, the Army, the Navy, as well as the Civil Defense, in tackling this menace. My advice, to the entire Nigerians to seek for, especially the Niger Delta axis, the South-South, to seek for a legitimate means of livelihood, because this deposit is our commonwealth. It's to the benefit of all, It's not just for Niger Deltans, it's or the South-South, it's for the entire, Nigeria. And if allowed to be harnessed properly and the proper revenue generated, it will be applied, to construction of roads, to schools, provision of good waters, and other good things that will improve the living standard.
We all heard David Stanley Odi there, stressing the need for all Nigerians to be upright and be legit, and to also harness our potentials so as to have all necessary basic amenities and infrastructure to improve the living standards of Nigerians. Do the right thing, always. Investing your resources today for a better tomorrow is what everyone prays for. But as you do, the EFCC wants to sound this note of caution. Be careful whom you give your money to invest for you. This is a scam alert. Scammers are on the loose in every part of the country in these hard times. Every day, men and women are being defrauded by those they trust, who use all forms of devious means in the name of investment platforms. Be careful what type of investment scheme you subscribe to. And if you have fallen into the hands of any investment scammer or suspect anyone of involving in investment scam, please report to the EFCC immediately. And that's how we end today's episode of The Eagle. Do not forget, for matters relating to economic and financial crimes, please send an email to info@efcc.gov.ng. And to speak to our officers or our representatives, you can call 0809 3322 644 and follow us on all our social media platforms at official EFCC. If you see fraud happening, use the EFCC mobile app, The Eagle Eye. Download the app, follow the steps, and report fraud on the go. You can also take pictures of corrupt practices and upload them. My name is Aisha Muhammad. I leave you with these parting words that says, make living your life with absolute integrity and kindness your first priority. Please do the right thing at all times. Goodbye. God bless Nigeria. Please stay safe. And don't forget to be kind to one another.